Do you ever hear something moving in the dark and wonder, what was that? That sudden feeling that you're not alone, that someone or something is watching you. I've felt it, deep in the caves, where sunlight never reaches, where the air is thick and heavy and the walls seem to breathe. My name is Ryan. I'm 27, a park ranger, and I specialize in cave exploration. But what I do isn't just about maps and rocks or guiding tours of curious kids. No, it's about facing the unknown. And some of the things I've seen, well, they'll make you question whether we're ever truly alone in the dark. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment if you've ever felt something strange where you shouldn't have. Because once I start telling you what happened, you might wish you never knew. I grew up in the wilderness. My childhood was a mix of forests, creeks, and endless curiosity. Most kids my age were scared of the dark, of bugs, of getting lost in the woods. Not me. I thrived there. I remember wandering under towering oaks, listening to the whispers of the wind, feeling the cool mud under my fingers, discovering little nooks and crannies that no one else seemed to notice. My parents used to call me reckless, but I knew then that I was learning something bigger than school could ever teach. It wasn't long before I discovered caves. The first time I squeezed through a narrow opening, my heart pounding in my chest, I felt alive. There was a silence there, a kind of heavy, timeless quiet, broken only by the drip of water from the ceiling. I was hooked. By the time I was a teenager, I had memorized every rock formation within a 50-mile radius, every hidden chamber, every underground stream. And that's when the strange things started happening. The first encounter I still think about, even now, in the daylight, with sunlight pouring through the forest, and was not frightening at first. I was alone crawling through a narrow tunnel when I saw it, a creature pale as bone, hunched over something. At first I thought it was another ranger, someone playing a prank, but the way it moved, with a jerky, unnatural grace, it wasn't human. It was eating a skunk. Its long fingers worked with a disturbing precision, tearing into the animal like it had done this 1,000 times before. I froze, my flashlight trembling in my hands. It noticed me, or maybe it didn't. Its head turned slowly, tilting at an angle no human neck could manage. The smell, I can't describe it except that it wasn't quite skunk, not quite rotten, but somewhere in between. I backed away, slowly, and the creature vanished. Just like that. No footprints, no sound, nothing. I told my supervisor later, expecting him to laugh. He didn't. He just said, "Keep your eyes open, Ryan, the caves have secrets. Some of them don't like being seen." And he wasn't wrong. A few months later, I was leading a survey of the underground river system with my supervisor. The water was cold, rushing past our boots, echoing through the cavern like it had a life of its own. He was in front of me when I saw it, something large, something dark moving under the water. Before I could warn him, it struck. I only saw a blur, a violent spray of water, and his scream. I lunged, grabbing his arm, pulling him to the edge. He was shaken but alive. And he swore he saw a figure, a shadow, something that had followed the river for who knows how long, lurking just out of reach. I don't talk about that incident much, but every time I enter those underground streams, I feel it. Watching, waiting. But not everything in the caves is malicious. Not everything wants to harm. Some of it helps. There's a story I tell the kids on tours, even though they think it's just a tale. It's about a miner named Henry, who disappeared in these caves over a century ago. He died when a tunnel collapsed, but somehow, he stayed. He lingers, I like to think, watching over anyone who gets lost. I've seen him, or something like him. On more than one occasion, I've been guiding a group of children, and one of them would wander too far, too close to a drop, too close to a sudden pit. And then, a hand, a shadow, a whisper. This way. It's never loud, never forceful. Just a guiding presence. I once had a girl named Emily get separated from our group. Panic set in immediately. I'd searched for 15 minutes with no luck. Then, out of the darkness, a faint glow appeared. I followed it, calling her name. She was standing at the edge of a deep shaft, frozen. A shadowy figure, barely more than a silhouette, waved her back toward me. I don't know if it was Henry the miner or just my mind playing tricks, but I do know. She made it out safely. Caving is dangerous even without the supernatural. There are sudden drops, loose rocks, flooding. I've had to pull kids from underground streams, patch up cuts, talk them down from panic attacks. And yet every danger is amplified by the unknown. Sometimes at night, when I camp near the cave entrances, I hear things, tapping, scratching, low groans. I tell myself it's animals, bats, raccoons, maybe the wind playing tricks. But every instinct in my body tells me there's more. Something ancient, something that has known these rocks longer than any human. And yet, despite all of it, the hill creatures, the shadows in the river, the whispers of ghosts, I keep coming back. Why? Because caves aren't just stone and dirt. They are alive. They are history. They are stories waiting to be told. And if you listen closely, they speak. Some are frightening. Some are protective. Some will change the way you see the world forever. Remember the first time I truly understood that. I was alone, surveying a tunnel no one had mapped in decades. The air was thick, the smell of damp earth heavy in my lungs. I thought I heard someone calling my name. At first I laughed. I was alone. Or at least, I should have been. The calling grew louder, more insistent, echoing off the walls. I followed it, heart hammering, and I found a small opening I had missed before. Through it I could see the glow of lantern light, and there, sitting on an old wooden crate, was a miner. Henry. Or someone like him. He nodded at me, and without a word, he pointed down a safe path to another tunnel. I followed it, feeling guided, protected. By the time I emerged into the open air, I realized something fundamental. The caves are not just dark, frightening places. They are alive, they remember, they protect, and they take what they must. Now I lead tours for youth groups. I teach scientific fieldwork, explain geology, show how to identify stalactites and stalagmites. And all the while, I keep one eye on the shadows, one ear open for the whisper of the wind. Because in this line of work, knowing the rules of the caves isn't enough. You have to respect them. You have to listen. Some might call me crazy. Some might say the stories of Henry, the pale creature, the attacks on my supervisor, are just my imagination. Maybe they are. Maybe I've spent too much time in the darkness where reality blurs. But I know what I've seen. I know what I've felt. And I know that even in the daylight, long after the echoes of the caves fade, the memory of them remains, waiting. Sometimes the fear isn't what's in front of you, it's what's behind. The cave doesn't just take, it watches, it waits, it remembers. And every time I return, every time I slip through those tunnels, I know I am stepping into a story older than any human, a story that might never truly end. And maybe, just maybe, if you're brave enough to listen, you might hear it too. Before I let you go, remember this. The next time you wander somewhere dark and quiet, don't just look, listen. And if you ever feel a guiding hand or a whisper in your ear, consider it a friend, not a foe. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment about the scariest thing you've ever experienced in the dark. I read every single one. And who knows, maybe your story will inspire the next journey into the unknown. Until then, keep your flashlight close, your heart steady, and never, ever underestimate the secrets hidden beneath our feet. This is your story, and the caves, they're waiting.